It has been a challenging year for mental health across the world. The global pandemic has been genuinely difficult for many as it completely reshaped the way many of us view, manage, and maintain our emotional balance. Where if we look at the data, then the statistics show that 1 in every 5 individuals suffer from some kind of mental health illness symptoms, where 50% of the mental health conditions begin by the age of 14 and 75% of the mental health conditions develop by age 24. The impact of COVID-19 has not just been the obvious physical one. It is surrounded by pain, death, and isolation. It is having a huge impact on people's mental health too, where every section of the society, be it youngsters, adults, kids, pregnant women, as well as the senior citizens, everyone is at risk and unable to cope up with the constant stress of this disease, the lockdown or the overall condition of our country. And the fact that nobody is actually ready to accept it, it is the more challenging part. People are unable to make up and further work on the alarming signs as well. So if we are focusing on COVID, why not on a mental health as well? Hello, I am Resham and you're watching DNP India. So if you have not subscribed to our channel, then please do that, and do not forget to share and subscribe to DNP India and share this video as well as the other videos on our channel. Thank you. So to give us more insights on this and the ways to how every individual can cope up with the constant pressure and stress, know the red flags and what we must do to come out of this mental health crisis, we have with us a very special guest on today's segment, Dr. Rachna Khanna Singh, who is the HOD of Holistic Medicine and Wellness at Artemis Hospital, Gurugram, and Director at the Mind and Wellness Studio, a mental wellness expert. Let's know her take on this particular issue. Thank you for being a part of our show. I'm sure our viewers and personally me, we're going to learn a lot from today's segment. So, ma'am, firstly, I'm going to start with a very basic question. Tell me something about yourself, ma'am.
So I'm Dr. Rachna Khanna Singh. I'm head of Department of Holistic Medicine and Wellness at Artemis Hospital in Gurgaon. And currently I'm speaking to you from my clinic, the Mind and Wellness Studio at GK1 in South Delhi.
Okay.
And I'm also the expert columnist to Times of India. So I write the Ask the Expert online section for Times of India. I also have a radio show running on 104.8 FM, which is Radio Mirchi Ishq, where I answer mental health and relationship only. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm very, very passionate about my work and also helping others.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, you are a mental wellness expert and you specialize in like stress management, lifestyle management, and there's a lot of things that you are currently working in. So, as we know that the pandemic was a different thing altogether, and the cases that were coming in were, I'm sure, must have been different to the other, things that you were covering. So, ma'am, how is that different, and what are the different the cases that you were facing, and how was it challenging altogether?
So primarily we're still undergoing the second wave. So I'd say we're still in the midst of it, although we in the last couple of days are sensing some relief coming in, at least the desperation in the air has come down a little bit with the numbers going down of the cases, as well as the the medical equipment the availability being higher. So having said that, people who were already suffering from anxiety and depression, their scores went completely exponentially high, and people who had never faced such concerns started to feel a lot of anxiety or low feeling, or a basic feeling, which we are calling nowadays called like a blah feeling, which is languishing, which is a sense of loss of purpose. There's a lot of demotivation. Besides that, of course, in the last, in this wave, we all have encountered losses, specifically of near and dear ones, and I don't think any family is bereft of it. So there is a lot going on with respect to grief counseling at this moment, because people are dealing with people are dealing with loss of not only one, sometimes more than one family members, and family members are ill. So it's a very challenging situation currently. Then we've also started to deal with, survivor guilt. That's another thing which has now come up is so, as you're asking, what are the different things we're dealing with? These are some of the prime things that we are dealing with.
And ma'am, from last year till now, the second wave, how is the difference?
So there is a huge difference, yeah, because see, when the first wave came, and specifically if we just go back to March 2020 end, when the lockdown was announced, and we were sitting in 1.0 and 2.0, we as a population, as a society, took it as a very positive challenge that, let's go for it, and we beat this out, the virus out, and we all had a little bit of there was a lot of hope in the air, there was some cheer in the air. So there was, of course, it was a tough time, the lockdown. But having said that, everybody took it in a very positive spirit. We were getting these beautiful WhatsApp messages floating every morning. People, thought that it's the first time that they're not going to, they're going to be working from home. Their dreaded commute will get finished. So people started looking at it from a very positive perspective. People had never eaten lunches with their spouses and kids, and it became a nice family environment, and people had a little extra time on their hands. So they were reaching out to their friends, family all over the world, creating WhatsApp groups, playing. There was, like I said, there was a little bit of cheer in the air. They're playing from Ludo to Antakshari, and you name it. Everybody was house party. People were getting on to it, and I think everybody became the best chef possible in that lockdown. But the moment lockdown 3.0, 4.0 came, there started to be a sense of disappointment in all of us, because we did get to gain an understanding that this virus was not going to go away that easily. At that time we thought, oh, summer will come, it will go with the scorching heat, rains will come, it will go, and so on and so forth, but nothing seemed to let it go. So we started to realize that it is not limiting. There is a sense of confinement, constriction started to come into play for all of us in all our minds, and of course the fear started looming that, am I going to get the disease? What's going to happen what if somebody else at home gets it, and how am I going to deal with it? So it did, and along with it started to creep in the insecurity of the finances. Because so far we said, all right, and then we started to realize that jobs were going, people were getting salary cuts, and it was not going to be that simple anymore. Life was going to be a little tough. But come December 2020 and Jan 2021, again, we started to get a feeling that, things are going to get better. The numbers started coming down. We started coping up better, and, people started to step out, and we thought that, all right, things are little, shaping up a little bit more. And now let's, we people started to socialize in small groups, started to get your favorite coffee from outside, your favorite meal. So we had started baby steps towards getting towards a little bit of normalcy. But then the moment the second wave hit, it hit us, it was like a tsunami actually. Nobody was prepared. So it was completely unprecedented, the circumstances. And also going back earlier to what we were talking about, like I was saying, people started to enjoy family time, but towards the end, we started to see that the same thing, people started to detest it. Everybody was getting sick of everybody locked in a place together. There were no boundaries for work, for people working from home. Boundaries between family and work life were clashing. So it became very difficult. And that is the reason why the number of cases of divorce filed in the latter half of 2020, as well as the number of cases of domestic violence, had risen up so much. So it had started to create a lot of difficulty in our mind. And now with the second wave coming in, it is, like I said, it has just swept us all. And there is a huge amount of fear looming in everybody's head that, what if I get the virus, and what if my family gets it? And now I guess everybody's somewhere or the other, got it, or else in close proximity to it, to the situation. But then the fear remains, am I going to go to the hospital? Am I going to get the oxygen? So there is a lot of anxiety in the air, and there is a lot of desperation as well, and a lot of grimace, because of the fact that there has been a loss of near and dear ones for almost everybody, like I said. So it is a very, very difficult situation we are at right now. And right now, even for people to feel happy, people feel guilty, because it's like I said, it's just a sad situation everywhere, and you wouldn't see people now, really wanting to sing songs and make merry, because the environment is not like that anymore. There's a lot of hopelessness, and also, like I said, there is a feeling of lack of purpose. Besides, of course, the financial insecurity and the other emotional insecurities.
And ma'am, like you mentioned about adults and couples, the kids, I believe they're suffering a lot because of the pandemic. And it's their time to go out and have fun. And now they're just restricted. 1 year it was fine, but now the second. So how should they, and the parents, what should they do about it?
Absolutely, it's a very difficult time for children, little children who just haven't been to the parks at all, who haven't been, and it's very hard for parents to explain to little children that what's really going on, and teenagers, they are losing it. We are seeing teenage tantrums where kids are, banging doors, and then we have so much of anxiety creeping it in the kids. And in fact, I would say that the number of students reaching out to us for help is completely, it's very, very high. It's kids are feeling very low. There is the peer group is not there. Everything has become virtual for them. Children who are in the 12th grade right. My own daughter is in the 12th grade right now. We don't know when the exams are happening. They're never going to go back to school again, to see the place where they have been raised with all the people, all the teachers and everybody. It's just going to be a virtual farewell, and they haven't been to school for an entire year. And there is a huge insecurity of which college, what's going to happen, am I going to get the correct college? And even for kids who've gone to university, so the university experience has been completely a miss for them, because they've just been studying virtually. So, the fear for those children, they feel, is what if we literally come out of university, never really even going to the university. So, and then people who really, stepping out of university, there's a concern over their internships, jobs, because nothing is available, and whatever's available is all available virtually. So yes, it's a very difficult time from the younger children till the, teens to the early adulthood. It's definitely a very challenging time, because for adults, I would say, if 1 year or 2 years has gone amiss, we are missing the human touch, we are missing everything, but we haven't missed a milestone. But for kids who have, let's say, missed from school to college, the whole experience or the college experience, so they're missing milestones in their life. So that certainly creates a void and a vacuum for them. And virtual relationships which they're keeping with their peers, it's very hard for them to understand, maintain. So the holistic development is very amiss with children nowadays.
And ma'am, what about the senior citizen? Like I was reading it somewhere that 50% of the senior citizen are somewhere or the other having those mental imbalance. So what should we do about that?
Yeah. Absolutely, because the senior citizens are the most vulnerable section of the society, and that is something we all are very mindful of. And I think most of us are very blessed to have some elders either at home or sitting a little far away from us, or available, in our neighborhood. But to understand that, for them, one of the largest factors is the loneliness, because they've done away with their morning and evening walks and their laughter clubs and so on, which you would, walk around the parks and see. It was mostly, infused with a lot of enthusiastic senior citizens walking and, talking to their friends. So everybody's so scared for them. They are not stepping out. We aren't letting them step out. So having said that, loneliness looms. Again, there's a lack of sense of purpose. Then, like I was saying, families are locked down together, so they've not possibly seen the entire family. Most families are working, the sons and daughters or daughter-in-laws or kids. They used to having them go to school, college, or else work, But now everybody's locked in together, so it's a very tough time for them also, because they are having to. For them also, they are blurring boundaries. The kitchen boundaries are being blurred for a lot of women, is what I'm hearing, and what a lot of our patients are saying, that now the daughters-in-law and the mothers-in-law, the power seat is the kitchen, and earlier the daughters-in-law were going to work, and now at home. So it's a tough task for them also. And I think more importantly than this, what is very difficult for them is that they are not that tech savvy. So it becomes our duty as a generation, and whoever is listening to this, I think it becomes everybody's duty to make sure that they are engaged with their friends, family, relatives, and if they are, they don't know how to operate, WhatsApp, and please help them get connected, push so that they can also enjoy speaking to their family and their peers, which they, I'm sure, miss a lot.
And ma'am, what about the pregnant ladies? Like they always have that fear in their mind and the stress going on that whether, what if my child gets this? And that anxiety level is like very high in some of the people. So how should we deal with them? Like, from our level as well as theirs. Yeah.
It's a very difficult time because they've been afraid going for their checkups, their routine ultrasounds, even they feel, what go to OPD because there's so much of a fear of contracting the virus. And then the fear is that when they go to the hospital, if it's an emergency, will they really get the bed? Will they get the oxygen? So there is a lot of fear and anxiety in the environment. Will the doctor be available? Because now healthcare is a large portion of healthcare has really collapsed, and most of the medical fraternity is also unwell, a large portion. So, people are very worried from that front, whether they will get the correct treatment. And when the child is born, I hope they don't contract anything. So that goes without saying.
And ma'am, are the cases of healthcare workers and frontline workers, are you witnessing those cases?
Absolutely, that the healthcare is the frontline workers are the ones which who are having a lot of mental health issues as well, because they are the ones who if you've seen videos how tough it is for them to wear these suits and be all the time indoors, and as well as be under the fear that what if they contract the disease. And then we are finding healthcare workers also going through survivor guilt. That when they've seen people who they've been tending to for a long time, that they've not been able to help them as much as they could. So there is a lot going on there as well.
So ma'am, what are the red alert signs that we should focus and we should see in a person who's actually going through that phase of going through that mental anxiety or mental disorder? So what are those like the signs?
So you want to know the red alert signs so that we can when to reach out to a mental health professional, whether it's for yourself, the red alert signs, or these are some signs which you're seeing in a near or dear one. It could be a friend, a family member, or a colleague. So please watch out for consistently low moods, which are staying low for over a period of days, persistent anxiety spells, a lot of weeping unnecessarily, weeping, oversensitivity, of course, suicidal tendency. If there are suicidal thoughts, that immediately calls for seeking the help of a mental health professional. Yes, and of course, it's not necessarily that when we talk about depression, like we were speaking earlier, it's not necessary that the person has to be constantly weeping and constantly low and, maybe sitting with a blanket hidden somewhere. It's not necessary. Sometimes even certain reactions, even reacting out of bounds to your personality. Then a very important sign is anhedonia. That means a lack of pleasure in doing certain things which you used to love to do. For example, if somebody used to love chatting on the phone or watching movies, listening to songs, the entire interest, the level of interest has gone down tremendously. So these are some of the signs that one must look for. And of course, if a person is feeling that they aren't able to function in their day-to-day routine, then the immediate call for help. And I'd just like to share that, it's not so hard to reach out to a mental health professional. We are all available at the drop of a button, the press of a button. So why delay? And I always say that, if you were to have, let's say, stomach aches for 2-3 days, what would you do? You would use some ghar ka ilaj, you would have some antacids or have some medication. And if you don't feel well after 2 days, you're definitely going to go to a doctor, right? Or you ask for a video call with a professional. Similarly, if you're feeling that your moods are staying very low, there is just no harm taking an opinion from a mental health professional. It is time that we give enough importance to mental health as well. Because physical health alone is not going to help us, which we've all understood Now, specifically with the pandemic, the mental health has come to the forefront. So, mind, body, spirit, soul equilibrium is very, very important for a holistic well being. So, this becomes equally important. So, if you're mentally feeling uncomfortable, you're definitely not going to be well physically, also. So, you should take care of your mental health equally.
I think acceptance is really important on the whole. We do not
Absolutely.
accept.
Absolutely. So, giving your mental health a priority is what is needed currently.
Of course. So, ma'am, your final take and your final message to our viewers.
I think what we need to understand is that this is a time when we all need to take charge of our own selves. Make sure that you are doing a few things every day for yourself. So, for example, one I always say stick to a routine. Regular timings for sleep, meals. Make sure that we are sticking to a specific routine, decreasing your screen time specifically before bedtime. Otherwise, you're not going to get a good night's rest. Taking out at least 45 minutes for some physical activity every day, about 10 to 15 minutes of breathing exercises, that becomes a must because it's fantastic for your lungs and also fantastic for your nervous system, and also they work on the thymus gland. So your immunity is going to go up if you do the breathing exercises. So now there's no substitute for it. If you can take out 10 to 15 minutes for meditation every day, it's a fantastic way to be. So if we just say just an hour 15 minutes on your body daily, like some time for physical activity, 10 minutes for breathing, 10 minutes for meditation, and you could do it at different portions of time in the day. So this becomes very, very important. And of course, taking out some leisure time for a hobby, pulling out that old instrument which is lying somewhere, playing a game of chess, doing some mindfulness, and some stuff even mindlessly is okay nowadays. Anything to keep your worry away. So enjoy yourself with some, those silly comedy movies, or reach out to people. And last and not the least, please make sure that you have a good support structure of people around you. We say even if you have 5 people, you should feel more than blessed if you have 5 people on your fingers who you can reach out to at any time. Feel absolutely blessed. And this is the time to count your blessings. So please don't look at the cup half empty. The way to work is to substitute grief or hopelessness with gratitude. So the moment we do that, we will start filling our cupboards.
Sure, true that, ma'am. And thank you for speaking to us. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. It really
Yes.
means a lot. Thank you so much, ma'am.
And bye-bye.
So, as rightly mentioned by Dr. Rachna, that giving your mental health a priority has to be the utmost goal for everybody right now. And nothing, I mean nothing, should be ignored. And if you think you have the need, then do see a mental health professional. It is absolutely necessary. So if you like today's segment, then please do like, share and subscribe to DNP India. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Do not forget to share this video as much as you can. Some people might really need to see this. For more updates, keep watching DNP India.